Something I witnessed today. I've seen a lot of strange things in my 32 years on this planet. I've watched street performers swallow swords in Barcelona, seen a three-legged dog win an agility competition in Portland, and once witnessed my landlord's mother-in-law punch a mailman who delivered her package to the wrong address. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for what I saw today at the Riverside Heights apartment complex. It started normally enough. I was coming back from my Tuesday morning coffee run, balancing a scalding Americano in one hand and scrolling through my phone with the other, when I noticed a crowd gathering in the parking lot. Living in a city teaches you to ignore crowds. Could be a minor fender bender, could be someone's emotional breakdown, could be a film crew. You never really know, and honestly, you stop caring after the third or fourth time. But this crowd was different. There was an energy to it, an electricity that made the hair on my arms stand up even from 50 feet away. People were pointing upward, phones raised, some laughing nervously while others stood with their mouths hanging open like broken ventriloquist dummies. I followed their collective gaze upward to the 7th floor of Building C. There, perched on the narrow ledge outside apartment 7F, was a man in a full Renaissance fair costume, and I mean full regalia. Puffy striped pantaloons, a doublet with actual gold embroidery, a feathered cap that would make a peacock jealous, and what appeared to be authentic leather boots with curled toes. He was holding a lute, and he was serenading the building. Hark! Fair maiden of the morning light. His voice rang out with surprising operatic quality. Thine eyes doth shine like stars at night. I stopped dead in my tracks, coffee forgotten, as the man transitioned into what I can only describe as a medieval power ballad. His fingers flew across the lute strings with practiced expertise, and his voice, God, his voice was actually incredible. Rich and resonant, it echoed off the brick facades of the surrounding buildings. Is he drunk? Someone near me whispered. Has to be, another person replied. Or high, maybe both. But the man didn't seem intoxicated. His balance on that narrow ledge was perfect, his musical timing impeccable. He moved with the confidence of someone who had done this before, though I couldn't imagine where or why anyone would practice singing Renaissance ballads on 7th floor ledges. A woman burst through the door of Building C, her bathrobe flying behind her like a superhero's cape. She was maybe 60, with wild gray hair and the determined expression of someone who had reached the absolute limit of their tolerance. Bradley, she screamed upward. Bradley Henderson, you get your medieval ass down from there right now. The man, Bradley, apparently, paused mid-verse and looked down. Mother, you've interrupted the grand finale. I'll interrupt more than that when I get my hands on you. You're 38 years old. Art knows no age, mother. Beauty transcends time. At this point, I noticed a woman on the 6th floor had opened her window and was also yelling up at Bradley. She was younger, maybe late 20s, with pink streaks in her hair and an expression of pure exasperation. Bradley, I told you, we went on one date.
One.
And I said I liked historical costumes, not that I wanted a whole freaking concert.
Oh.
Oh no. This was a romantic gesture gone horribly, wonderfully wrong. Bradley clutched his chest dramatically, nearly losing his balance. The crowd gasped collectively. Rebecca, you said my lute playing transported you to another time. I was being polite. It's called making conversation. You said you loved knights and chivalry. I said I liked the concept for a themed party, not as a lifestyle. By now, someone had called the fire department. I could hear sirens approaching, that distinctive wail that meant emergency services were en route to deal with whatever crisis had emerged. But Bradley seemed unconcerned. He launched into another verse, this one even more passionate than the last. Though you reject this humble bard's plea, my heart shall sing eternally. Bradley's mother had disappeared back into the building, presumably to mount a rescue mission from the inside. Rebecca had slammed her window shut, though I could see her peeking through the curtains. The crowd had grown to at least 50 people now, some filming, others just watching with the morbid fascination usually reserved for reality TV and traffic accidents. A fire truck rounded the corner, followed by 2 police cruisers. The firefighters emerged with practiced efficiency, already assessing the situation and unpacking their equipment. One of the officers, a tall woman with her hair in a severe bun, grabbed a megaphone. Sir on the ledge. This is the Seattle Police Department. We need you to carefully move toward your window and go back inside. Bradley's response was to segue into what sounded suspiciously like a Renaissance-era version of Don't Stop Believin'. I didn't even know that was possible, but there he was, making it happen. The firefighters had set up one of those large inflatable cushions below, the kind designed to catch falling people. Bradley noticed it and incorporated it into his performance, gesturing dramatically downward while singing about cushions of salvation and pillows of destiny's embrace. That's when Bradley's mother reappeared on the ledge, climbing through the window of 7F with surprising agility for her age. She was no longer in a bathrobe. She'd changed into what appeared to be hiking gear, complete with a harness and clip. Bradley Joseph Henderson, she shouted, inching toward him along the ledge. When I said you needed to pursue your passions, this is not what I meant. You also said to follow my heart. Your heart is an idiot. The crowd was losing their minds. People were cheering, some for Bradley, some for his mother. Someone started a chant of kiss. 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 Until they realized they were at completely the wrong event and awkwardly trailed off. A firefighter had ascended a ladder and was now positioned about 10 feet from Bradley, trying to sweet-talk him down while his mother approached from the other side. Bradley was trapped between 2 forces of authority, and his performance was reaching a crescendo. This is the most entertainment I've had all year, the person next to me said, and honestly, they weren't wrong. Then something unexpected happened. Rebecca opened her window again. Bradley, she called out. He turned toward her voice, lute still in hand. Yes, fair Rebecca? If, and this is a big if I agree to a second date, will you please, for the love of God, come down from there? The crowd went silent. Even the firefighters paused. Bradley's mother froze in place. Everyone waited for his response. Bradley stood there for a long moment, considering. Then, slowly, he began to nod. You mean it? A true second chance at courtship. One normal date. Normal clothes. Normal restaurant. No lutes, no window serenades, no Old English. Can you do that? I suppose I could attempt to restrain my more theatrical inclinations. And you have to apologize to everyone you've traumatized today. Bradley looked down at the crowd, then at his mother, then at the emergency responders who had dedicated their morning to his rescue. That seems fair. What followed was the most anticlimactic ending possible. Bradley simply shuffled back toward his window, loot tucked under one arm, and climbed back inside with his mother's help. The crowd dispersed with a mixture of disappointment and relief. The firefighters packed up their equipment, probably adding this to their collection of "you won't believe what happened" stories. The police took statements and left. I stood there for another few minutes, coffee now cold in my hand, trying to process what I'd just witnessed. Rebecca emerged from Building C about 10 minutes later, shaking her head and laughing despite herself. She caught me staring and shrugged. He seemed nice at the coffee shop. How was I supposed to know he was that? Did you really agree to another date? I asked. She grimaced. I mean, he's clearly passionate about his interests. And that voice was actually pretty incredible. Maybe if he channels that energy into something that doesn't involve potential death and public disturbance, there's potential there. She paused. Also, I'm morbidly curious about what he considers a normal date. As she walked away, I saw Bradley peek out from his 7th-floor window. He caught sight of Rebecca and waved enthusiastically. She pretended not to see him, but I caught the smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. I finally took a sip of my cold coffee and headed toward my own apartment. My roommate, Marcus, was going to absolutely lose his mind when I told him about this. He'd missed the whole thing because he was at work, and there was no way my description would do it justice. But as I climbed the stairs to my 3rd-floor unit, I couldn't help but smile. In a world that often felt increasingly digital and disconnected, where romance was reduced to swipes and DMs, there was something almost beautiful about Bradley's completely unhinged gesture. Sure, it was dangerous and probably illegal, and definitely disturbing to dozens of people. But it was also real and passionate, and utterly, unforgettably human. That evening, I saw Rebecca and Bradley at the coffee shop down the street. He was wearing jeans and a normal button-up shirt, though he couldn't quite hide the period-appropriate medallion hanging from his neck. She was teaching him how to use the dating app properly, both of them laughing at something on his phone. And somewhere in the distance, if you listen carefully, you could almost hear the faint echo of a lute playing in the wind. Or maybe that was just my imagination. Either way, it was something I witnessed today.